Hello. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Romero, and today we are going to talk about the fact that the Democrats done did it. They did it. They actually are saying that Trump paying ICE agents is illegal. We talked about that last week. We said it was a stroke of genius and that Donald Trump paying them, who was going to complain? Well, Representative Jim Hines went ahead and he complained about ICE getting paid and Donald Trump paying, TSA getting paid and Donald Trump paying them. I don't understand. I don't get what they don't get. Do you? It's all crazy. But let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you Jim Hines.
Practically speaking, ICE is already funded. In fact, it's one of the few DHS entities where people are getting paid because they had so much funding from the president's last bill. And now their portfolio is expanding because they're in American airports across the country. So what did Democrats get out of this standoff?
Yeah, well, Margaret, the standoff is not done yet, right? The president is illegally paying, apparently, TSA agents. You had the Senate, as you pointed out with Mr. Homan, pass a bipartisan bill unanimously in the United States Senate to say, look, let's fund everybody else and let's deal with this thorny issue about ICE. And then you had the Republican House say, hell no, we're not doing that. And by the way, mock their own Republican leaders in the Senate. So, look, this thing is still very much live for one very simple reason. We can talk about House, Senate, changing law for one very simple reason, which is that the vast majority of Americans look at the way ICE behaved with the murder of two American citizens, with the constant knocking down of doors of American citizens without warrants, people dressed like they're, airlifting into Fallujah to do the legitimate work of going after illegal aliens in this country. And they say that is not okay. And that's our position. Our position is very simply, we want ICE to act like the police force that they are. And that fight is not won yet. And look, I'm sorry it got tied up. I'm sorry that the Republicans on one side of the Capitol said this was a good idea. And on the other side of the Capitol, they called it a joke. But we're ready to negotiate around something that is not a radical demand. We just want ICE to act like proper police officers.
So in the meantime, the president's redirecting existing funding to pay TSA agents. You said he was illegally paying them. You believe that he is violating the law in this interpretation that the White House says they have?
Well, it's not that I believe it, it's that I know it, right? I mean, if there's one power that Congress has, it is the power of the purse. Now, this president has, of course, consistently and universally said that he, in fact, has that power. But any American that went through fourth grade civics, no, they should be paid. They should have never been held hostage. And we had a deal come out unanimously from the Senate that if it had passed, right now they would be getting paid. And we wouldn't be talking about the constitutional power of the purse. But Mike Johnson, leader of the House of Representatives, said hell no to what his Republicans in the Senate said yes to.
Okay, let's just break that down for a minute. So they should have never been held hostage, but you did hold them hostage for 30 some days before you finally backtracked and said, okay, everything except for ICE can be funded. But no, that's not what you actually put in the bill. What you did was, how about Border Patrol? They need to be paid, right? Or otherwise we're going to have another Joe Biden era here, and Trump's never going to let that happen. How about all of the admins within DHS? You don't like that. So you're going to blame Mike Johnson for not voting on what the Senate sent down, which, by the way, took away the money for Border Patrol, took away the money for administrative, took away the money for lots of things, which we talked about yesterday. And then what was worse was when the Republicans did pass a bill funding everything, sent it back to the Senate today. The Senate didn't even bother to hear it. They gavelled in and they gavelled out. this fucking Senate has to go. This is too much now. They're all on the same team, and it's not Team America. Hello, Robert Santillian. Aloha to you. Hope all is well. I got your note. I see that the Hawaii GOP is doing some stuff, moving and shaking. Hi, Debbie Lebedo. How are you? Good to have you. Hi, Francine. Good to have you. So let them sue him. Yeah, I want to see if they go that far. I mean, he has a lot of guts and courage to say, that it's illegal, but let's see what they do. Hello, Susan. Good to have you. Hi, Angela Bricker. Good to have you. Andrew Dorman. Hello and happy Monday. Yes, I have to tell you, I am beat. I have been working like an animal out, trying. We have had such beautiful weather here, and I'm trying really hard to get everything done all this week. I'm cleaning out the sheds, getting all the gardening tools in their proper places, seeing what else we need for the, association, because I'm the head of the garden committee. We are not doing well with the bulbs that I planted. We have not had water in a long time. And I've got to get after the guys to maybe turn on the sprinklers because it's like a dust bowl around here. But anyway, I've been working. Bob's been working. I'm really, really tired. I'd like to ask you a question, Letitia. Are most of the TSA people of color? I cannot speak intelligently to that, but most of the government workers are minority. Black, brown, Muslim, Hispanic, women, most are minority. So whether specifically Black, I can't say, but a lot of minorities work in the federal government. So, I don't know what the percentage is. Maybe you could Google it. I'm sure somewhere you can get the answer to what percentage of people working for the federal government are a minority. The liberals want illegal votes. That's their motivation and intention. We must convict these unlawful legislatures. Jeff, you're right. You're right. I'm concerned. You know why I'm concerned? Because, once again, the colleges, the women, that's the problem. And they are wholly owned by the Democrats. And how are we going to remind people or get the information out to people when gas is through the roof? When now groceries are going back up. Everything, economically speaking, is where it was when Biden left. And, we barely had a year of Trump, pushing down prices before everything went up again. So we're facing a tough road, a really tough road. And I wish that I had the answer for the messaging that we need to get out there, because just sitting, chatting, and laughing at the stupidity of the left is just not enough. I'm hoping that the communist and socialist chatter that's out there in this No Kings and this whole protest stuff, this paid protester stuff from Singham and Soros, I hope that gets people to understand. But I just don't know how much do the 30-somethings know about communism and socialism, and are they going to say it sounds good? As long as the economy is bad, they're going to say it sounds good, and that's where we're in trouble. Funny how they can get the fact they fund everything with Soros funds using tax-paying American taxes. Yeah, well, the problem is that the war is on the front page. The war is on the front page, or the conflict is on the front page. And gasoline prices is on the front page. So the fact that we have been getting snookered as taxpayers with fraud, we don't hear that from the mainstream media, right? So all of the media is talking about the conflict in Iran and oil and gas prices. only conservative media is talking about the fraud. And fortunately, Fox News is the number one cable news show. They've overtaken CNN, but I don't know how long that's going to last. We've got to get the word out, and the only way to get the word out is, to make sure that we speak on social media. That's why I do this. I'm exhausted, but I'm not going to not speak, and I'm not going to not have you have your voice. So we're going to get through this together. Hello, Colleen. I should act responsibly and not creating no problems. Well, I think that ICE is acting responsibly. But I'm going to show you a video in a minute. Hello, Maisie. Good to have you. Good evening. Been good weather for sure. Yeah, it's been beautiful here. So if that's the case, these minorities should see that these Democrats are doing it again to them. Unreal. Depends on where they get their news. Deb, depends on where they get their news. It all comes down to communication. This no kings, this, save democracy. I'm listening to who I thought were like intelligent Hollywood people talk about Donald Trump taking away rights and acting in an authoritarian fashion. If that was the case, then they wouldn't be able to say what they say, right? If he was an authoritarian. But yet they continue to say what they say. And they have a big reach. Hello, Professor. Good to have you. What happened to energy independence? We are energy independent. It's not, but the gasoline market is set globally. Just like the insurance market. We had no hurricanes last year, but insurance didn't go down. But when there is an earthquake in California, insurance goes up everywhere. It could still turn around. Yeah, it could still turn around. Will it? Sorry, I got something in my mouth. Hello, Tony Whitaker. It could still turn around. Will it? We're going into April tomorrow, right? Or next day, April. May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 7 months. Took him longer than that to get the prices down before. I don't know. No kings protest flying flags of dictatorship countries. So stupid. It's stupid, but who's going to tell them? 1 million people in the streets. Who's going to tell them? Hello, Karen. How are you? We have to keep our voices up and elevated. That's the only way that this is going to work. They are so well coordinated and well funded. Listen, they've had us snookered for since the 1940s. So it's almost 100 years that we are go to work, be a cog, just get involved, drink too much, smoke too much, do drugs, let the television raise our kids, let social media raise our kids, don't know what's going on in school. It's been 100 years. Sell you stuff, buy stuff. That, we didn't educate ourselves. We sent all our kids to school and we didn't bother to see what they were being taught. And I've watched good conservative parents send their kids to college. And now somehow the kid comes back a liberal and the parent is a liberal. So the parents are following the kid, not raising the kid and teaching the kid. That's a problem. Andrew talked about ICE acting responsibly. I want to show you this. This was in Portland the other day.
For a new fucking door, assholes! You're gonna shoot us? Huh? You're gonna shoot us? Oh, fuck. What are you guys gonna do now? What are you gonna do now?
Everybody back!
What do you think the goal there was? Should they have just hidden away, Andrew? What was the goal of all those people? Was the goal to get one of them shot, another one shot? Are they literally acting like the fundamentalist Muslims, willing to give up their life for the cause? What's the goal in that? You know, and these are the same people that will tell you that J6 was treasonous. Why? Because it was Congress where the people are supposed to be heard. The people aren't supposed to be, the ICE facility isn't the people's house. Congress is. And here's the difference. The ICE facility had fences to keep them out. On J6, the police officers invited people into the Capitol. So what was the purpose? April 1st, we have our state elections meeting. I know it's going to be fool's game joke. The agenda is sporadic. Really? Well, what's the agenda? I guess to elect a chairman. Yeah, it is. It's disgusting, but I wonder what is the goal. It's almost like the goal is to provoke violence and get it on camera. So are they really willing to become victims? I'm gonna play another video that's going to be hard to listen to, but I think that it sums up a lot. Deranged lunatics. Yeah, disgusting. What's with the costumes? To catch attention, to provoke. Who knows? I don't know what's with the costumes. People sometimes just need a beating. They're not civilized. They're animals. Well, I mean, but that's what they said about us, right? In J6, they said that we acted like animals. I saw somebody post something that there were feces on the wall in the state capitol, in the United States Capitol. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A couple of windows were broken, and that was it. And that was from Antifa, and that wasn't from the protesters. If you look at any of the video of the protesters, they were walking on the red carpet through the velvet ropes. I was there. I saw with my own eyes the police opening the doors and inviting people in. I saw with my own eyes. It was like a tour. It was ridiculous. And they tried to get people to go inside. They invited them in. And, believe me, my daughter wanted to go and I refused. I said, absolutely not. Something's wrong. It's a trap. Don't do it. And I was right. What the hell? Yeah. We had a bomb threat at our Capitol on Saturday, which shut down the No Kings protest. That's interesting. Yeah. And Crazy Maisie was out there saying that Trump was no king. Which is, she's right. He wasn't no king. But isn't it true that, and who did I hear? I heard a radio personality say it. King Kamehameha is in Hawaii, is like the most lauded figure in Hawaii. So, no king's protest in London. I don't understand. There's a king there. I don't understand what is going on with this king stuff. I just don't. I just don't. The goal was to provoke ICE and advance their anti-ICE agenda. You must be right. But the fact that they would risk their own lives after knowing that 2 protesters wound up dead. Interesting. The party of peace at work, more like the party of a piece of shit. I say it too. On our side with J6, we had I think she was a Marine killed, because she was where she shouldn't have been. She was where she shouldn't have been, and she knew that she was taking her life in her hands, and we all knew too. But nobody cried for her. Just nobody cried for her. Really interesting, but pretty and good. The world is mourning. It's as if the criminals, I don't know, get the attention. I don't know. Saul Alinsky rules for radicals. Okay, to instigate ICE to react like little kids with a finger in your face. I'm not touching you until you finally smack them. Then he calls mommy. He hit me. That's a perfect analogy, Colleen. Perfect. The woman who was killed, who was running into the agent and then shot, no charges on officer. He did nothing wrong. I read that earlier. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. He never got charged. It's trendy to be anti anything. Lucille, but when we grew up, I mean, we were anti stuff too, but this is really, this is taking it to another level. Willing to sacrifice your life for a made up problem. I mean, the Vietnam War was the big protest situation when I was a kid. I wasn't old enough to go into the service, and I didn't know, other than my uncles, I didn't know many people who were. But I remember the protests on that. It was for a reason. This is not for anything. They've been protesting him since he came down the escalator. It's not for anything in particular. And if it is, nobody is enunciating it. And we have 4 years of Biden, and they told us not to believe our lying eyes. Joe Biden was full of vim and vinegar, and so much was, going on, and we were getting so much done. And don't pay attention to those 10 million illegal migrants coming over the border. Yeah, I'm flabbergasted how they can continue to lie, flat out lie, and so many people believe them. How is it? Why is it? What's going on? Running into him with her car. Yeah. It's almost like we entered the portal of insanity and with these people. Yes, that's what it feels like. Tommy's surgery was canceled because of a clot in his heart. Oh, crap. All right, everybody, prayers for Tommy. Absolutely, prayers for Tommy. They're anti-everything Trump. You've said it, Colleen. You said once if he cured cancer, they'd say no. So sad how crazy the Democrats are and how far they've gone to push their evil agenda. But it's not just the Democrats. It's not the Democrats. It's the woke Chinese Communist Party. I've said it here a million times. Nostradamus said the yellow man will rule the earth. And now with Singham backing things up, from his perch in China, by the way, an American citizen. And every time, oh, by the way, all of my Facebook has been, not Facebook, YouTube has been way slowed down every time I mention his name. We're stalled at 825 people. And my shorts that usually get 1,000 or 800 views are getting 30 and 40 on YouTube. He's a tech mogul. And I believe that he has rigged it up so that if you mention his name, it kind of gets a block on it. I got to see how I can figure that out. We're about to go beyond the lying matrix we're exposed to. Well, that's true. Listen, they started all this anti-America stuff and gay agenda for years. We didn't do anything, almost like soft brainwashing. You watch shows in the 80s, they introduced a lot of this stuff. This is true. This is true. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. There's no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition, who then react to your advantage. That's a brilliant statement, and it's very true. The Pope is woke too. Yes, he is. Dan Bongino stated he had two people from the DNC tell him before the election he frequently was unaware of where he was. Has been mentally inept for a long time. Biden, that is. Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Listen to Liam out loud. I think that what he says here is amazing.
In 1984, George Orwell wrote, "It was always the women, and above all, the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy."
He wasn't being misogynistic, he was making a psychological observation. In his view, women, particularly in their role as caregivers and moral enforcers, tend to prioritize safety and compassion over risk and freedom. And that instinct, while natural, is easily weaponized by totalitarian systems. When conformity is marketed as compassion and control is rebranded as care, the state taps into the feminine psyche to enforce ideological obedience. Now consider this. Men will do almost anything to attract a mate, so when the state captures women through propaganda, redefining tyranny as empathy and compliance as virtue, men follow. Especially those who can't compete in the traditional dating market. They feminize themselves and trade strength for submission. This is what evolutionary biologists call the sneaky f***er strategy. Low-status males mimicking feminine traits or moral positions in hopes of reproductive access. And while all of this unfolds, families disintegrate. Single motherhood, a top predictor of poverty and social dysfunction, becomes the norm. Children from single-parent homes are far less likely to climb the economic ladder, and who steps in as provider and protector? Not the father, the state. But here's the kicker. The state is funded disproportionately by men, so rather than supporting the women they married and raised children with directly, men subsidize the state, which in turn provides for women through social programs. Why? Because women have been propagandized to see every relationship as a power dynamic, except one with the state, which is ironically the centralization of raw power. They've been told that to rely on a man is weakness, but to rely on a bureaucracy is empowerment. This is not progress. This is dependency with a new face. And both men and women are suffering. The childless middle-aged woman and the incel are two sides of the same broken culture. A woman without her own child often directs her maternal instinct towards abstract causes, infantilizing minorities under the guise of social justice. What we are witnessing from psychologically unwell men and women is Nietzsche's concept of resentiment, envy dressed up as morality. The strong became evil, the weak became good, strength became tyranny. We now live in a pathologically soft society that sides even with those who harm it, where punishing crime feels unfair and victimhood is the highest virtue. Nietzsche called them the tarantulas, those who preach justice but act from bitterness. They don't want to uplift the weak, they want to drag down the strong. Orwell saw them too. Quote, "Most middle-aged socialists, while theoretically pining for a classless society, cling like glue to their miserable fragments of social prestige."
Okay, so I see a lot of you are commenting that he's spot on, and you're right, he is. Nuclear family is not what they want. Oh no, they want you dependent on something else. Drugs, alcohol, education, right? Now, TikTok, social media, games, you name it, they're figuring it out. And it's really interesting. All of these communist or socialist parties, they depend on brainwashing. All of it. They depend on brainwashing. But it's the same with religion too, right? Oh my God, that guy is so correct on everything he's saying. Yes. The thing is that, go back, read Nietzsche, read Orwell, read Nostradamus. There's a lot of information there for us to open our eyes. Some of the better generals throughout history, use these mind games, but they're playing the long game here. I mean, Putin, knows how to mind fuck somebody. So did the Chinese. This is what they do. And we gullible American consumers who want instantaneous gratification on everything and have zero patience for anything, we are paying the price for it right now. It really, really is very frightening. And we have to get young people to understand it. You can't blame women. These idiots are strewn across the spectrum. Women need kids to occupy their minds. No, that's not true. You can't blame women because women are the ones who come from the emotional point of view. And I said it for the longest time. It's women and college students and old people. They're all in an emotional dependency. It's so interesting that I've seen this whole thing about women, progressive women got us this and got us that. That is untrue. That is true. But the progressive women who got women the right to vote were Republicans. The progressive women that, moved women to independence were Republicans. They weren't Democrats, but these kids seem to think they were. And we need to clean up that falsehood. Also, women are the problem. They always are. We come from a different position than men. I mean, look, it was Eve, right? That needed to have knowledge, every single time you look through history, and there's always a woman to fuck it up, because we come at things differently. Conservative women, I think a little bit more logically, but I will give it up to my husband all day long. He is far more logical than I am, and I'm in awe of him and the way he operates. I don't operate the way he does. My mind is more chaotic than his is. But then again, I know where I put everything, and I know where when I put something down, I know where it is. Men do not. So, there's trade-offs. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Focus on specific individuals or groups to isolate them from support and create a clear enemy. These rules are designed to empower grassroots movements and help organizers effectively challenge established power structures. Alinsky's work emphasizes the importance of strategy, adaptability, and understanding the dynamics of power in social change efforts. And the professor has been telling us here forever, right, about this stuff. We've been talking about it forever. But so long as there's only, a couple of hundred viewers, the information's not going to get out. So we need people to share, to like, to, comment, especially on YouTube. It is so important because that is the one place that liberals own. And just a funny little aside, when I said that anytime I mention Singham, my videos don't go far. All of a sudden, I got something lifted somewhere because we shot way up during that last clip. So who knows? Psychological manipulation. Well, and women have been doing that forever, right? We've been manipulating men, and now somebody figured it out. Wish I caught the whole video, but it's a truth bomb. Yeah, so you could play this back, Lou. Go on YouTube, play it back. Go on Facebook, play it back. I forget. It's somewhere around the 28-minute mark. You can forward it to there. They know the wiring of the mind of men and women, and then they become the puppet masters. Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe the clinical term for their mindset is fullishitous. That might be the Latin term for it. Not my mom. Well, I didn't say all. I just said the fairer sex. I mean, look, all women are different. Look at me. I am filthy from head to toe. First I went out, I washed my car, I broke a nail, pissed me off. I went grocery shopping for dinner tonight. Then I went to the shed and I helped my husband move really heavy shit and clean and everything else. Not all women do stuff like that. Not all men are the same. Not all women are the same. That video nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Please do a short with that clip. I can. It's too long for a short, unfortunately. I might be able to do a reel, but I could post it to Facebook, which I will. To be grounded, I have my cats, which purr on my chest. It opens my spirit, which lets me relax and listen to other dialogue when I awake. We all have to figure out what we've got to do to get our mind right, because right now it's hard to keep your head straight. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. I'm a fucking mess. I see plenty of men making fools of themselves just as much as women. Yes, I'm not saying about making fools, Gary. What I'm saying is that women are the ones that are never satisfied. They always think they can have it better. They always think that they're getting gypped. They're always playing the victim. No, not all. But when you look for the victim mentality, 90% are going to be women. Now I keep on hearing everybody talking this psychological speak. I need my safe space. All these things. I don't feel safe, and there's a lot more, but I can't think of it now because I'm tired. But that comes from psychiatry. And who was laying on that couch forever? It was women. But and for good reason. For a long time, men kept us drugged up, and it worked so well on us that now men are becoming drugged up and stupid. Hunters and gatherers. Yes. There's a difference between men and women. Like I said, you're not going to see. Well, maybe now, but I would very, very much doubt that a man would say, let's do their wife. Let's take our kid to a drag queen story hour. That's the woman who's going to do that. But they probably got that way by a woman along the way. Power of the cat. Yeah. Well, that's what Liam said. And he's right. But Liam didn't say it. We know it. We could start with Adam and Eve and just keep on going, right? Oh no, I think my husband may be a woman. Oh my God. All right, guys, we're late. I'm tired. I will see you tomorrow. Keep up the good work. Keep spreading, keep sharing, keep liking, keep talking. Remember, if you're going to spend time on social media and you're going to watch stuff, if it's something that resonates with you, like it and say something. Even if it's great job, just that little bit makes a difference in the algorithm, okay? And if you can, like me on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment. I've got a lot of trolls that keep me alive, thank God, but I need some of my friends too. Okay, Michael Cox, last word. Women manipulating men goes all the way back to Lysistrata. I thought it went back to Eve. All right, love you all. See you tomorrow, 8:00. Bye.